What is up, y'all? Welcome back. 357 SIG ammo test series number 13. We're going solid copper hollow point now. We have the 77 grain double tap solid copper hollow point. That is one of their lead-free options, going at a screaming 1725 feet per second out of a 4.5 inch barrel. If that is true, that is just bonkers. I love solid copper hollow points. They usually expand very reliably and they just do a great job most of the time at what they're designed to do. I would definitely check out our 40 Super solid copper hollow point double tap video. That one is very awesome. I'm expecting this one at these speeds to be very cool too. We're going to do all of our testing today out of two different firearms. The two firearms we're going to be using today for testing are a 5-inch 1911. This is a Sig Nightmare with iron sights. And then we're going to be using an M&P metal chambered in 357 Sig. Pretty cool. And we're going to be using a red dot optic on this one. And this one has a 4.25 inch barrel. We will be sending these rounds over a Garmin and through a Caldwell at these two B8 targets. After we get everything we need with velocity and accuracy, we're going to send these rounds through a 16-inch 10% clear ballistics gel block, brand new, sparkling, awesome block. We have it backed up with a 20-inch recycled block as a catcher block. I'm not sure if we'll get into it, but it's there. 21 feet off the target for accuracy, 15 feet off the target for gel testing. I don't use bags or rests because this is practical accuracy for me. We're not doing bench rest shooting in a defensive scenario, and I'm also not putting clothing in front of my gel because this is a baseline test. We can do that later, but first we have to have baseline, just gel. Testing explained, let's get to shooting. All right, up first we have the M&P. And it hit right where that red dot was at 1807 down there. That's nuts. It didn't pick it up on this one. Let me change something with the Garmin real quick. All right, the chances are those were going too fast for the setting on the Garmin, and that setting is right there in between at this velocity we are traveling at. So let's try 4 more rounds. And that hit exactly, oh no, that hit a little bit low actually that time. It could have been my shooting or it could be the ammo. At 1780 down there, 1806 up here. And we have 1812 and 1834. We have 1788 and 1821 up here. We have 1734 down there and 1778 here. Those, most of them group pretty tight together. We have lockback, all that. It feels pretty good out of the hand. Nothing, it doesn't feel bad at all, actually. It feels just like a 40 caliber type of round. For most people who are used to 40 Smith & Wesson, nothing more than that really out of this. Now, that was my first shot, and that's where the rest of them landed, so I would call that probably the true group. This one could have been me not shooting totally perfect on that first shot. Again, we're not in a bench rest or anything like that, but we are an acceptable grouping. If you went ahead and zeroed your dot to that ammunition, that would totally fall right in there in the 10 circle. Always in the black is good enough for me. I would say that's totally acceptable. All right, let's try 1911 style. Add a little bit of barrel length, a little bit of velocity. $18.79 down there, 1880.2. $18.52 and 1866 back here. $18.36 down there, 1858.7 back here. $18.62 down there, 1886 back here. $18.71 down there and $18.94 back here, and we have a lockback. It felt really good out of that 1911. Like, it felt smooth like butter out of that gun, and it shot really well. That's a nice 1911. It's very accurate, and that was my first shot. Then I got my crap together and I put it where it was supposed to be. Very good on the ammunition part. Like I said, super comfortable. And with that accuracy, I'd say that's a very nice combo for that gun so far. On the red dot, not too bad, But still, I just would prefer this out of that 1911 more than anything. It felt very smooth, very nice. Didn't feel bad out of either one, but gosh, it just felt really good out of that one. All right, so keep in mind that's almost 1,900 feet per second out of that 1911. Between these two guns, I think we're going to see some pretty cool stuff on this gel block. Let me try to get a good hit. I'm going to go a little bit top and a little bit left. That's exactly where we wanted. We have 1759.1 right here and 1757 down there. All right, we have a good punch right there, and we can see petals immediately started coming off. And that's a nice looking gel block right there. We're in really good lighting, so that is cool. We see the petals shedding on this thing all the way. The first one I see coming off at 4 inches, and the last one I see to shed, I think, is at about 13.5 inches, maybe 14 inches. That's a really nice looking wound channel. It has a nice start to it. That's a pretty good disruption at the beginning, and it is sending off those little petals like usually solid copper hollow point type of things do. And it has a very good wound track going down. It curves a little bit, but I think it ends up pretty straight. We'll take a look from the top, and it'll have a base that continues on and gets into that catcher block. That is at 18.5 inches. I think it made it to maybe all the way to 19 inches with a little bit of a bounce back. So I think it's settled right at 18.5. Pretty darn good. That's a 357 SIG. That's easy to shoot. And wow, I'd say really good penetration, good disruption. And there's a lot of little extra channels along with that central channel. Let's look from the top real quick. As you can see, it does have that permanent wound channel that a lot of hollow point type of things do in the beginning. Good disruption, but like we saw from the side, totally starts losing those petals as it goes down and keeps losing them one by one. Piercing wound channel lands down there past the first block. Definitely good enough for two-legged critters, and we'll get these things dug out and take a look here soon, but we got one more shot to take. Let's see what happens when we add the velocity of the 1911, which is some pretty darn good velocity. All right, let's see if we can give this block a little bit of a nightmare. It might be a little bit close to the other channel, but it might be separated enough. We got 1892.1 and 1883 down there. That's cooking. All right, we are a little bit close, but we're not too close. It actually separated it out just enough to be able to see. As we look from the side, we can see that they pretty much duplicated each other. We do have the overlap, but you can see that the more straightaway finishing piercing wound channel, they've separated enough where you can see the two different tracks. We'll take a look at different angles, but they shed petals the same way. They really look very, very similar. And actually, they ended up in the pretty much exact same place, I would say. When you take into consideration bounce back and things like that, they're right there head to head with each other. It is a photo finish if you know anything from racing world. But yeah, very cool how they leveled out. I do kind of like it when ammunitions do that, when they will level out between the different barrel lengths. It's going to hit harder. It's going to have more foot-pounds of energy, which is pretty enormous with this round right here. But it's cool when they will do the same thing. It makes them predictable no matter what you're going to carry them in. That's actually really awesome. I like that attribute to this type of ammunition. Here's where we get a little bit of a better view from the top down. You can see the separation of the tracks a little bit better, but again, they mimic each other. They really do pretty darn the same thing, pretty much darn the same thing. That one right there is showing us a good side view of pretty much just a copper base left over after it's lost all of its petals. That's a really good view of that. Overall, I'd say out of both of those handguns right there, that's a very respectable amount of energy hitting that target. It's a very controlled situation here with the way that ammunition performs in the gel. It's pretty predictable even out of the different barrel lengths. I would say that's, pretty much picture perfect. I should have used a 20-inch gel block. Sorry, I didn't. I wasn't expecting this kind of performance actually out of 357 Sig. I'm used to things doing pretty well, but that's pretty darn well. I should have used the 20-inch block. You always try to be smart, and then it doesn't work out for you. So let's get these things dug out and see how they look. All right, there we go. We got them dug out. That is the M&P, and that is the 1911. The M&P has one little pedal remaining, and you can see they both pretty much have the same base look on them. They're going to weigh pretty close to the same, except for that one pedal that's on that one. The diameter is not going to be too much different. I'll go ahead and do it for you, but it's not going to be too spectacular. These things are going to be right at 3.55, so 9mm. Now, if we want to get an idea of what these things might have been doing before they lost their pedal, of course, that pedal is going to fan out and get the maximum effect. But right here before this one actually flaked off, it's at 0.453, and if we were to go ahead and add what might be the other pedal on there, we might be at over 1/2 inch, so not too bad. Scale is jumping around just a little bit because of the wind, but the one out of the M&P that has one pedal left is at 62 grains, 62.5, something like that, down from 77. The one that has no pedals remaining out of the 1911 is down to right around 59 grains. So I actually think it's a pretty cool ammunition. It's very nice to shoot. It's accurate, and it'll definitely do the job on most things you're going to try to use it for as far as self-defense scenarios. I always like solid copper. It's usually a pretty uniform, consistent performer. Good job on this ammo double tap. I like it personally. I might actually start carrying that in that 357 Sig Nightmare. Yeah, Nightmare, because that is such an easy shooting gun. That feels like shooting the softest 1911 with 45 ACP ammunition that you can imagine. Very nice. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Have you ever tried this ammunition? Overall, there's the information. Use it as you see fit. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned because the next test will be a different grain weight of the same type of ammo. And until then, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting.